Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of Today's Homeowner magazine and remodeling contractor Danny Lipford.
Welcome to the show. Now, whether you're building a new home like this or you have a remodeling project going on around your house, you're going to have to make a tough decision on what kind of flooring to use. Now, these homeowners chose carpet and pad, which is a very common selection for new homes these days, but there's a lot of other options out there, and we'll look at all that's out there available from the most reasonable to the most expensive and give you all the information you need to know to make the right decision on flooring. Don't go anywhere. There are a lot of different types of carpet that's available out there. Not only different colors, different styles, different textures, a lot of things to make selections on. Now, this particular one is a Berber carpet or a loop carpet that's become very popular over the last few years. It's a little bit different than the old cut pile style, and it's great for a nice large game room like this. Now, one of the things that the flooring contractor recommended to this homeowner, which I think is a great idea, is to use ceramic in between this doorway and a doorway on the other end of the room. That way, all of the main foot traffic that you have in this room will go right over the ceramic and not create any wear patterns on the carpet itself. But how do you know if you're getting a good grade of carpet? Well, recently we talked with Anthony Hammondtree, a flooring specialist at his showroom. Now, Anthony, when a homeowner's coming into a showroom, what should they look for to pick the right carpet?
Well, Danny, the first question would be what areas of the home they're planning to cover. If they're doing a very active area, playroom, den type situation, they would want a very dense, tight grade of material. And possibly for the bedrooms and all, they might like something a little more comfortable, a little more of a plush type appeal, if you will. The main thing for finding that good quality product is finding a premium fiber. And we would always like to recommend a premium nylon, being like a wear dated, a stain master, crush resistor, that nature. Okay, all right. You have so many different types now, Berber, cut pile, that type of thing. Kind of show us a few of the, the different styles that are kind of popular now. Okay. First of all, just the traditional cut pile that we would all know as in the older days as a plush or Saxon, if you will. And then with the request of something with a little easier maintenance, a little easier to care for, of course, Berber came along, and some Berbers are more of which are all of a loop construction. Some Berber, some of a sisal look. And as an alternative product to that, they're making basically cut pile carpets that give you a Berber type look.
Well, that is a unique kind of a look there, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Danny. You notice you got a very tight twist level, number one, which is the turns per inch on your fibers, because the fiber basically, as long as it maintains its twist to make it hold up for the greatest longevity. The other type products you would have is you take the Berber type flex and put a little color on them, pattern, so it's basically today it's infinite what you can choose for carpeting. Okay,
what should a homeowner pay on the average for a fairly decent carpeting?
Good carpeting, you need to plan to spend around $2 a square foot and not to exceed probably more than around $3 in that window.
Okay, all right. What about the selection of pad that goes under the carpet? That can be fairly important as well.
It's great you asked that. The pad is basically the most important factor for the life of your carpet. And in the olden days, basically the rule is everyone thinks thick and squishy and everything gives you the most comfortable and the greatest longevity. And there's a very false fallacy to that, because you basically want the carpet to perform properly to use a very thin and dense pad. And we most commonly use a 7/16 of an inch thick and 6 pounds of density. Okay, all right. And as you upgrade pad in today's types of products are available, you can not only, you don't buy it thicker, you buy it denser and firmer. Okay. And we use like pads that go up in like the 8 pound, as well as for like a very active area, maybe a Berber, we use a heavy, dense rubber pad. I see. It gives you a nice, firm feel.
I see. Okay. Now, carpeting is one of the more reasonable floor coverings that you can put in your home, but it's just not appropriate for areas such as utility rooms, bathrooms, and many kitchens. So that's where vinyl flooring, roll goods come into play.
Danny, with vinyl flooring, basically in the past being kind of a generic, economical type floor, that today with the fashion designs from the manufacturers, you see some nice stone look with borders, nice tiles here with some accent squares, slate looks, It's an infinite, basically, what you can choose in roll vinyl. And these range in the cost of $2, $3 per square foot.
Okay, now Anthony's talking square foot, but many of these roll materials, such as carpet and vinyl, are sold by the square yard. Now, of course, the square yard is a 3 foot by 3 foot area, which equals 9 square feet. So if you're looking at roll material at $18 per square yard, that equates to $2 per square foot, so just as a comparison. Now, what about the VCT, vinyl composition tile? Traditionally, that's always been used more in commercial applications, but now we're seeing a lot of residential look to these tiles and a lot of residential usage on them.
Well, basically, from both consumers and the manufacturers, seeing the longevity they got from normal vinyl composition tile used in groceries and retail applications, they've taken those same type products and created what they call luxury vinyl tile that gives you the same durability of that grocery store product with a nice stone design to use in your home.
And most of those are on the 12-inch by 12-inch square.
Primarily 12 by 12s, and those range in the cost of like $2 to $4 a square foot.
Okay, great. Hey, good information, and we've got a lot more for you as far as flooring options. Next, we'll look at ceramic, hardwoods, and the very popular laminate flooring. So stay with us.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
Danny, you know, do-it-yourselfers are often faced with the challenge of pulling out nails that are large galvanized or rusted nails, and most people are familiar with the trick of using a wooden block as a fulcrum to yank out the nail. But here's another technique that works really well, especially if the nail head is broken off. Put the hammer claw onto the nail shaft, then clamp on a pair of locking pliers. Then just pull back.
Well, that does work great. And, you know, another use for the locking pliers that I found when you have a finished nail like this and you're wanting to pull it out without scarring up any of the surface of the wood, you clamp that on and use something to protect the surface of the wood and it pops right out. It really works good. But if you're out framing, say, an addition, and you're not wanting to go back to your toolbox to get the locking pliers, I found that you can take a hammer, especially a straight claw, hook it to a framing nail like this and roll that nail right out. But you will mess up the wood a little bit.
As you did there.
Now, this is a floor we're seeing a lot of these days where they've taken different size ceramic and created a pattern. Here you can see 3 different ones were used to create this look. Also, the slate finish that you have on this tile, as well as the darker grout, is something that's become very popular. You know, the selections you have in ceramic and the way it's being installed has expanded so much over the years. And Cindy Hillier, the owner of this showroom, knows a lot about ceramic.
Actually, about 75% of our installations are the slate look or the natural stone finish.
Now, why do you think it's so popular with homeowners?
Well, one thing is easier maintenance. You can't see as much dirt on these stones.
Well, you know, the white ceramic, boy, you really see a lot of the stains and a lot of problems when you have that. So I guess it would really hide that a lot, particularly with the texture that you have on this.
It sure does. It makes it a lot easier for the homeowner.
You know, the manufacturers really have gone out of their way to simulate this look with even some of the tiles having kind of a wavy line here.
We do. We have a lot of new tiles that have came out with the wavy edges, and there's a lot of different shade variation involved with some of the stones and a lot of different sizes.
You know, this would really help if you were doing a kitchen floor like this to be able to see all the colors you'll get with using this tile. Then you can really match those walls up just right. Now, of course, you have the different sizes, the different looks, but also different sizes now. They're getting bigger and bigger.
We do. We have a lot of different sizes. These are the 16-inch tiles, but we have tiles as big as 20-inch that we're installing.
Okay. Now, of course, you're picking out the look, the texture, the size, but also you have the difficult task of picking out what grout to use on that. What do you recommend?
Well, there's a lot of different colors, but I like to recommend the medium to the dark colors so that they don't have a problem with the staining.
Okay, it's a good idea. Now, inside or outside, you're not going to use the same tile on your bathroom or kitchen as you would use on your patio. What do you recommend there?
That's right. We'll use a porcelain tile on the outside. It has low absorption water and it doesn't freeze. It's just a great look for outside.
Yeah, we've used this a number of times on, say, covered porches. Really gives it a custom look, and it really holds up real well, repelling that water the way it does.
It does, and it's got a nice texture so you don't slip on it.
Okay. Well, you know, the manufacturers have gone out of their way with
simulating all of this, even like the marble. I know you've installed that several times for us in foyers. People really like that without having to spend the extra money for real marble to use a simulated marble like that.
Exactly. It looks great, and it looks like a real marble.
But now what I'm interested in seeing is how they've actually simulated wood flooring with the ceramic. Well, they have done a great job in simulating that wood look. Where do you see homeowners using this kind of product?
Well, a lot of the homeowners want to use it where they're maybe concerned about the moisture, say a sunroom or a bathroom. This is the great product to use there. We have a lot of different sizes, a lot of different colors, so this works great for them.
Now, what are some other options for homeowners? You know, we've looked at the ceramic, regular ceramic, porcelain, and then this type of product, but what else is out there?
Well, we still install a lot of the handmade Mexican tiles. There's a little more maintenance involved with those because we have to make sure we keep those sealed. We do a lot of the brick floors for the homeowner that wants the rustic look in her kitchen.
Now, what about a cost to homeowners for an installed product like this?
Normal installation can run about $5 to $7 per square foot for the labor and material. If you get into laying on the diagonal or any of the borders or inlays, it runs up, you know, to maybe $8 to $10 because you have so much more material and time involved in laying out the floor.
Now, that can really be a designer look when you use some of the inlays or you run the floor on a diagonal with a border, but of course it takes a little more time and a little more money as well.
That's right.
Well, thanks, Cindy, for talking with us
Thank
today
you.
about ceramic and everything. And when we come back, after our Best New Product segment, we'll tell you everything you need to know about hardwood floors, pre-finished hardwood floors, and the very popular laminate floors.
It's time to check out this week's Best New Product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
As a remodeling contractor, I get a lot of requests from homeowners to develop their attic space. The problem there many times is providing the proper egress, a way to get out of the attic in case of a fire.
That's why Rotofrank developed this unit. They call it a roof door. It acts as a skylight in an attic area, but it also acts as a door. It meets national code for egress, which is a very specific size, requires the window open completely, and this serves that function.
And you know, in an attic room like that, it's great to have a skylight to get the natural light into that area. But this has a great feature in that it allows you to open it to two different settings so that it vents all the way around, getting some good fresh air into the attic space. And then by opening it completely, gives you the opening that Paul talked about so that you can get out in case of a fire.
This unit also, as you can see, is beautifully made. It has a seal which allows you to keep heat in when you want it in the wintertime. The glazing is also a laminated glass and a dual glazing. It's argon filled and low E, so it's a quality unit throughout. Now it comes left-handed or right-handed, and it runs about $440.
Now, if you have a house that's a very steep roof and it's a real high two-story, this also is a way that you can get out onto your roof to do any maintenance that may be needed.
A freshly sanded wood floor always looks good, Michael. I'm with Michael Browning, who's handling the hardwood floor installation and refinishing on this remodeling project. Michael, tell our viewers what we're looking at here.
Danny, what we have here is your typical 2/4 by 3/4 oak flooring. And what we do on an oak floor and nail down, we'll come in, this is on a plywood subfloor, 3/4 inch thick. We'll come in, we'll check this floor, make sure it's nailed properly or screwed. Then we'll come in and with bundles of wood flooring, we'll lay them out, individual strips, and then we'll nail them up with our pneumatic guns that we have.
Right.
And 3/4 nail down, what we typically use is a 2-inch nail.
Right.
And it has the cleats on it, so it ties it in real nice. And it's bumped up real nice. As you can see, it's fairly tight. Then what we'll do, we'll let it sit for around 30 days, and it acclimates to the conditions. After that's done, then we'll come in, we'll start our sanding process.
Yeah. Now, the sanding process, I know, takes several days in order to really do that, and that's where a lot of the labor intensity of an oak floor is, but you start with a large drum sander on that.
That's correct. We use a 12-inch drum sander. Drum sands, he'll come in here with 3 sands. It's whether they're a rough, a medium, and then a fine sand. Then they'll come in with our edger, which is a 7-inch circular, and they'll sand that same process 3 times. Then we'll come in here with our disc machine and we'll actually screen it. And that's taking out the marks from the larger machine. Then after that's complete, then we'll start our sealing process.
Okay. Now on the sealing process, I know some homeowners choose a dark stain, some a light stain. What have these homeowners chosen?
These particular people decided to go with the natural being lighter process, and we've noticed that more individuals are going back to the lighter colors.
And you usually put about how many coats of sealer on?
Our normal process is 1 coat of seal and then 2 coats of polyurethane.
Okay. Well, when do you think a 3/4 inch oak flooring is just not right for a project? When is a situation just not appropriate?
I would say when you have a slab, and that's because of the expense of having to come back in and put a subfloor down and nail on top of that.
Okay, and the solution there, of course, is the pre-finished glue down type material or even unfinished glue down. And I know you brought some samples by the job.
We have samples here, Danny, of some solid products glue down. This is our teak. This is our mahogany. As you can see, these are 1/2 inch. They're solid glue down products. Then we can move right on into our engineered products, which is the rest of this category here. This is our unfinished engineered. As you can see, the backing on here is wood, but they crisscross the wood for expansion and contraction. So you have a lot more stable product here when you're gluing it down than you would with the material that we have upstairs.
Right. Now all of these are unfinished, so that means you are going to have to sand them and stain them and seal them. And that's perfect if you're blending a new area with an old area. But if you have a room that you're just wanting that wood look in, but you don't want to go through any of the staining or sanding and you want to save some time, the pre-finished wood is just the thing. It comes in several different stain colors, very easy to install by taking a trowel, putting down the glue, putting it in place. It's easy to cut, and when you're finished installing it, you just wipe it down good and clean and you're through with that room. Now another alternative to give you that wood look are the popular laminates that are out there. Now this is a plastic laminate sheet that's pressed on to a particle board backing, and it actually is not glued down, it's glued together. Kind of an interesting process, and held down around the perimeter with the shoe molding. Now what about cost on all the woods, Mike?
Well, Danny, our upstairs nail down product, we're looking between $6 and $8 there. If you come down here to your exotics, you're looking from $8 and up. Your unfinished, engineered, you're looking $6 to $8, same thing. And then if you get into your pre-finished products, we're running $5 to $7.
Okay, and your laminate wood will be or laminate product will be just a little bit more than that, around $8 to $9 per square foot installed. Well, Mike, thanks for going over with us on some of the wood pieces here, and stay with us next as our Around the Yard.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Jennifer Brennan.
A pond like this can be a great addition to your yard, especially if you accent it with some nice water plants.
And Danny, the key to a successful pond garden is to have plants, and you need to have 3 varieties. The first is one called the oxygenator group. This is pondweed. It actually lives below the surface of the water. It absorbs excess nitrogen and releases oxygen to help the fish and the other plants. The second group are the floaters, like the water lilies with the leaves that float on the surface, the water hyacinth, and the water lettuce. They provide shade for the fish and also shade so that no algae develops. And then the third group are the marginal plants, like this cyperus. They give you texture and color around the margins of the pond. And by having all 3, you get great balance in the pond.
Okay, what about maintenance on this? Is it hard to keep the plants growing well?
No, you never have to worry about watering.
That's right.
But you also, when you have all 3 varieties, you get balance, and it will help prevent the #1 enemy of the pond, which is algae.
Choosing the right flooring is very important on any project because it can represent as much as 10% of the overall cost. Now, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you may want to try the pre-finished hardwood floors. It's really easy to install. And even ceramic can be installed fairly easy with a little bit of skill level, especially if you go to the rental center and rent the right tools. But some of the other flooring is probably better left for the professionals because of the specialized tools and skill necessary to get the right kind of job. Now, I'm Danny Lipford, and we'll see you next week here on Today's Homeowner.